Hi guys, how's it going? So today I thought I would just do a little tour of our garden beds. So our front garden bed and our back garden beds. Twofold really. One, to just document progress on all the garden beds. So the garden beds are quite new really, sort of last 1 to 2 years we've started redeveloping them. So it would be nice just to keep a sort of monthly take on what the garden looked like that month of that year, and also hopefully maybe it might inspire you to plant some of the lovely plants as well. So we're just going to start off in the front garden bed. So this garden bed is really new. It's literally only about a year old. So we had our driveway done about this time last year, and it left a garden bed which was completely hardly anything in it, maybe just a few evergreen shrubs right at the back. So yeah, I got to just plant. So we basically made it a perennial garden bed. I'll just show you a picture of what it looked like at the time when the driveway was going in and the garden bed as it was, and then sort of fast forward a year. This is what I'm going to show you now to show you how much it's come on in the last year. So I'll just turn the camera around and I'll show you all the lovely plants we've got growing at the minute. So you can see it's sort of like a bit of a quarter of a circle, the garden bed here. We've obviously got the driveway, and then we've sort of got the garden bed which swoops around all the way to this corner and then back there, and then it sort of shares the back bit with our neighbour. So what I tried to do when I was planting and choosing plants, I chose plants that I could sort of repeat. So a lot of the plants I've sort of repeated sort of the front part of the garden bed. I've got plants here, and then I've sort of repeated them in the back bit as well. So maybe slightly unbalanced, because obviously this front bed is a little bit bigger than the back garden bed as well. So yeah, it's not quite a mirror image, but as you can see, there's some repeats of plants throughout the garden bed. So just starting in the corner here, we've got a beautiful heuchera, and I chose this heuchera because of its beautiful foliage. I mean, it just looks amazing, especially with the little water droplets on it. So again, I've got 2 of these. So next to it, we've got a beautiful lady's mantle as well. So this is sort of light green leaves, and then it'll shoot up these really beautiful chartreuse blooms as well. And again, they look so pretty, these leaves with the little water droplets just nestling on the leaves. So gorgeous. So going to the next sort of layer, we've got some lovely creeping phlox here. So these are just starting to flower, so nice purple blooms, and again that will sort of creep around, so I'm hoping that will just fill in this whole area around it. And then next to that, we've got a granny's bonnet. So these do flower sort of in springtime to early summer. So these will start to shoot up those bloom spikes as well. And these blooms are a sort of light pink, light yellow bloom. Aquilegia is the other name that you might have heard as well for them. And then we've got a beautiful lupin plant. So look at those leaves, they're absolutely massive. Look, compared to my hand, they're huge. So this is one of the ones I actually grew from seed last year. I did have it in the back garden, but I had too many in one area and it got too big, so I transplanted it to this front garden bed. And this one, I believe, if I can remember rightly, is it's got pink blooms. So again, they'll sort of shoot up these beautiful pink bloom spikes, and they sort of come sort of summer all the way through to autumn really. So a really long show of colour from them. And then we've got some delphiniums. So they come up really early, the leaves come up really early in early spring, and then sort of towards the end of spring, summer, they'll start to shoot up again. Purple bloom stalks from that one, absolutely gorgeous. And then a bit more purple as well, we've got a nice lavender bush here and a weed. Let's pull that out. So I haven't weeded in this bed for a few weeks, so you might see a few little weeds dotted about. So yeah, this is going to sort of grow really nice and big, hopefully fill in this area, and really beautiful scented, lavender flowers, which are going to be gorgeous. And then we've got a rose bush. So this is a rose, a white flowering rose, and it's a rose that's got more than one bloom on each stem. So yeah, really, really beautiful. And then behind it, we've got our new Laura Pedlum plant that we planted the other day. So these ones have got beautiful evergreen, sort of dark burgundy greeny foliage, and they also are going to sort of grow and fill in quite a bit as well, so hopefully fill in that whole area there. But yeah, sort of early spring they bloom these absolutely beautiful sort of dark pink magenta blooms, really, really beautiful. And then, yeah, as I said at the bottom, that's just sort of some evergreen shrubs that were there. You know, I might sort of swap them out as the time goes on, but they were just there and I thought I'd leave them. They're evergreen, you know, they make a nice sort of green backdrop. But yeah, so coming a little bit further into the bed, we've got this beautiful, I think it's a rainbow. Now I can't remember the full name, but it's Ascot Rainbow, that's it. Ascot Rainbow Euphorbia. And these things just are so productive. They bloom, they seem to bloom all year basically. Really, really early spring they'll start to bloom, and and I think that's almost its mature size, so they get quite big. And then behind it over here we've got a perennial grass that comes up, so they're just starting to leaf out, and that will sort of get quite high as well. And they have, if I can remember from last year, it's not that long ago, I think these have sort of purplish plumes that come up, I think. Or was that in the back garden? No, I think that was in the back garden. I think these have sort of wispy wheat-like sort of blooms when they come up. Really, really pretty. And then next to the euphorbia we've got our achillea, yarrow. And these ones again, they are so productive. They will bloom literally all season, summer all the way through to autumn. And you can even leave the blooms through winter actually, just to give that really good winter structure. So these ones are a sort of very light, peachy, yellowy, creamy colour blooms. So they will come up soon. So this is the Russian sage. So again, this is going to fill in. So that was chopped back. And it's just going to hopefully fill in this area like it did last year, and it's going to have really nice sort of spiky purple blooms. So I've gone for a little bit of a sort of colour scheme in this garden bed. So we've got whites, purples, pinks, yellows, and obviously lots of different foliage colours as well. So we've got the darker foliage, the lighter foliage, sort of silvery grey foliage as well. So I've tried to incorporate as many sort of different colours as I can. So continuing on, we've got a nice blue fescue growing here. Again, that's really nice silvery foliage and just sort of really whimsical sort of foliage. I love it. Love the leaves on that. And they stay this sort of really nice sort of silvery blue green leaves. And then what else is new in this bed? Oh yes, so we've got I think they're armeria, I think they're called. And again, these flower literally the whole season. So they've come up just sort of early spring, and they'll literally flower throughout the season. So all you have to do is just deadhead the old blooms. They sort of go a bit browny, but you can just deadhead them and it'll just keep producing. And again, really nice different sort of texture of leaves there as well. And again, we've got a nice lady's mantle over there as well. So again, I think the only other thing that we haven't shown, oh yes, so we have actually got a yellow echinacea. I think it's called yellow mellow. yellow echinacea that is just starting to come up. So they won't flower until summertime really, so they're going to start to come up. So that's going to be a nice yellow bloom there. And then we've got our Verbena bonniarensis. I can never pronounce that. Verbena. Bonniarensis. Anyway. So as you know, these get really big, so they'll kind of have really big sort of spikes of leaves, and then those really delicate purple blooms that attract the bees and pollinators like crazy. And then we have got in the middle here, and again it's not come up yet, but we've got a nice pink dahlia that comes up. So it's sort of a round shrub dahlia, and that'll come up as well, which is really, really beautiful. And I think that's it for plants, and then it's just basically a repeat. So the rest of the garden bed is just repeated again in some form. Something that I did pop in this spring was this little pink bloomerang lilac, and it's just starting to flower. Look at those pretty flowers, and they smell absolutely gorgeous. Really, really gorgeous. So again, that's going to hopefully fill in that little space there. And I have got some sort of white Shasta daisies that I've just plonked here and at the top of the bed as well, just to fill in. And then this is a bit of a sort of climbing rose. This was here when we moved in, and I may at some point take that out, but I think it's a bit of a sort of rambling rose, bit of a climbing rose, so it probably does need a bit of support really. But that's again that sort of white, sort of cream white flowers, and then if you leave the flowers, so if you don't deadhead this rose, they will give you really, really gorgeous rose hips as well. So again, you can keep those all throughout winter. Really, really good winter interest. So that leaves a nice little space there, which I have got something that I want to plant in there. So I have bought something to go in that spot, and I bought a butterfly bush. So the flowers on this butterfly bush are sort of a really dark pink, almost magenta colour, and they are absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to plant it. So I will plant that soon, and I'll do a video and tell you all about it then. But again, that's going to be such a workhorse of a plant, flowering all the way through summer into autumn, attracting all those lovely bees and butterflies as well to the garden. Alright guys, so I've just come to the back garden now just to show you around the back garden beds. So I'll just turn the camera around. So I'll just give you a little bit of a view of the whole garden. So we've got this garden bed, sort of a bit of a rockery really, down here, and then you can go up the stairs, and then we've got two borders that go either side, so all the way up to the chicken coop and the shed, and there's a little bit of a border at the back, and then there's borders going all the way down here as well. So that is the garden. So the garden itself is, the beds are quite new really, the development of the beds. I'll just pop a picture up on here just to show you what it looked like from this angle. Just to show you what was there. It was really, really bare when we moved in sort of 4 or 5 years ago now. And as I say, we've only really started to develop the garden beds in the last 1 to 2 years, especially last year. I did a really big push to try and make the beds look better. So we're just going to start off with this little bed down here. So over here we've just got some sort of random sedum that I planted. I'm not sure it gets enough sun there, but I'm just going to try and maybe get some more, plant that in there. And then we've got a rose bush. Now this rose, it flowers quite early on, so sort of end of spring into summer that'll start flowering, and that sort of pink, light pink blooms, really, really prolific as well, really, really prolific. And then next to that we've got a gorgeous, gorgeous light pink peony, and as you can see, the blooms are just about ready to pop. Look how gorgeous that is, and there's quite a few blooms on it. I can see at least about six blooms, maybe 7 blooms, 8 blooms. Yeah, Really, really great. And then, yeah, so we've just got some sort of evergreen shrubs that were there when we moved in, so we've kept those because they're nice greenery. And then moving on, we've got I think this is a cordyline, some sort of a cordyline here. Again, really nice sort of different leaf textures going on. We've got the ajuga, which is just this sort of ground cover, sprawling ground cover, and that's hopefully going to fill in. And I am going to sort of plant maybe some few annual flowers in here. I had some purple and sort of dark purple, light purple osteospermums in there last year, which look really nice. So next to that, we've got our Ascot Rainbow Euphorbia again, which I love that plant. It's such a beautiful plant all season long. And then a bit of sort of evergreen shrub at the end. And something really exciting is we've got some alliums coming up. So these ones, I can't remember what they're called, but they grow really, really tall and have really big sort of blooms on the end, so they're just starting to come up, which is really exciting. So they're sort of dotted, spaced out. I've got one there, one there, one there, and one there. So they'll come up and they look beautiful. The sort of purple against the sort of brown fencing look really, really pretty. Right, so coming up the garden path, let's start with this bed on the right. So this garden bed was probably the most advanced, I guess, when we moved in. There was all this sort of greenery, lots of evergreen shrubs in the back. That was all there. But it was a very skinny border. So what I did last year, and I did this all over the rest of the garden bed, was to widen the borders a bit and then sort of brick the sides. So I did this last year, bricking all the sides going all the way. And you can see, well, you probably can't see at the top, but it goes along the top and then it comes all the way down here as well. So yeah, I just wanted to widen the beds a little bit because we had all that evergreen shrubbage and then not much place to plant anything else. But anyway, so the main star of this part of the garden bed is the apple tree. So again, that's a little baby apple tree. We had 2 apples last year. That was it. But yeah, this year hopefully we'll get a few more, so that's going to be great. And then beneath it we've got some Acarus ogon. So we've got 3 dotted in around. So I just wanted to add a pop of colour really, because we've got the heucheras, which again is a sort of deep colour, same as we've got at the front garden bed. Deep sort of colour just dotted about. And then really, really exciting, we've got some hostas just starting to poke through. So there's 1, 2 and then 3 spots where these hostas come up. So they're all the same hosta, and they'll just start to produce their beautiful green leaves. And then they have little sort of light purple bloom stalks as well, which comes up. And then I've got some ferns in the back. I might sort of put some more ferns in because that's sort of quite a wet, a little bit of a darker area there. So working our way up, we've got our blue fescue again, and then these are some hardy geraniums. So if I remember rightly, they're sort of pink and purple hardy geraniums, and again they're really proper workhorse plant. They'll flower all through season. I do sort of cut them back sort of halfway through the summer and then they reflush again. And then behind it we've just got a sort of purple salvia coming up as well. So this salvia is more tolerant of shade. So it says part sun, it said on the tag. So this area is sort of a part sun area, part sunbed. So I'm hoping we're going to get some lovely blooms from that. So those are purple. Got some begonia here as well, so they flower very earlier on. And then working our way up, we've got our lady's mantle again. I just planted that last year, so hopefully that's just going to fill in this sort of area here. And it's backed by these beautiful evergreen shrubs which were here when I moved in, and this one's looking particularly gorgeous at the moment. Look at those little light purple blooms, and the foliage just sort of variegated, lots of different colours in there, lighter, darker. and it's beautiful, and it's sort of a bit of a standard plant, that one. Yeah, and again next to it we've got some nice colour contrast there with the green and the red foliage as well. And then yeah, and so under that I planted a Veronica, so I think this is sort of pink flowers as well. It didn't really flower last year very well, so I'm hoping it's settled in this year, and again it's going to start to bloom. They do like a lot of sun though, so I don't know if this is the right garden bed for it, because it's sort of part some garden bed. So yeah, again just sort of evergreen shrub. Oh god, I can't remember the name of this. This one again flowers all the way through winter, so really good winter interest, and that flowers, we've got a few around the garden, and it's got these little dainty sort of white pinky blooms, but they're sort of on their way out now, but throughout the whole of winter they will bloom. It's so pretty. And then coming on to our bird feeder, these two are the two campanulas that I planted not so long ago, and they're not looking that happy, but I'm hoping that they've just sort of flushed out and then they're going to rebloom, because I can see lots of new growth and lots of blooms. So I think that's just what happens to them, I think, because they do sort of flower throughout the season. They will sort of lull as well, but yeah. And then behind that we've got a lovely hosta that's going to fill in. That was called June, which I planted in a video as well, and it's kind of been eaten a little bit, which is annoying. I think it might have been, well, I don't know, probably slugs, but yeah, that's what happens to our hostas sometimes here, because we are so damp here. We get a lot of slugs. And then again we've got some hardy geraniums. Again, this is sort of purple and pink, I think, mix. Blue fescue, and then we've got some tiny little marguerite daisies as well. Yeah, and then this one, I don't know what this is called, this shrub, but this one is deciduous, so it does lose its leaves, but early on in spring it gets these beautiful white blooms. Now this one I pruned at the wrong time, unluckily, so all the white blooms have gone, but the one across the way on the other side, that really bloomed beautifully. So yeah, so again with this garden bed I've tried to sort of repeat, if I've had something in one part of the garden bed, I've tried to repeat the same plant, so there's a bit of cohesion going on. So yeah, again we've got our campanulas. Again, these are the purple campanulas. Again, I think they just need to grow a bit and then they'll reflush again. And this again is a sort of light pink peony, so the same as the one that was further down the bed. And then we've got these beautiful hellebores. Aren't they beautiful? So we've got this sort of purpley flowered hellebore, and then these are more sort of yellowy light purpley as well, which are beautiful, really gorgeous. And then what have we got? So again, this bed we've had to sort of really fill in last year because there wasn't much in there. So we've got a little lime hydrangea, so it's a panicle hydrangea, so it's a little one, this one, so it'll just fill in that area just a little bit. And then what have we got here? Another one of the salvia, the purple salvia that's going to be coming up soon. Some heucheras around this pot, and this is an acer. So beautiful foliage. It's just starting to leaf out, but just look at those wispy leaves, really gorgeous. So I had this in the ground there and it just was not happy, and I think because they like more acidic soil, I just couldn't give it what I needed to give it in the actual bed, the garden bed. So what I did was I popped it into a container so I can just control the growing conditions a little bit more. So I do feed it with ericaceous plant feed, and it looks much happier than it did last year already, so that is really encouraging. And then next to that we've got these are the macrophylla hydrangea, and this is white blooms here, so two different hydrangeas. We've got the little lime panicle and then we've got the white macrophylla, so these are the big kind of mop head blooms that you get. So interesting for the two hydrangeas. That hydrangea is a panicle hydrangea, that blooms on new wood as well, and then this one it blooms on old wood as well, so you have to be careful when you're sort of pruning it, so you don't prune off the blooms. But yeah, and then we've just got some sort of creeping phlox. We've got another one of the Veronica there, so that's the pink flowers. A couple of heavies that I just popped in because I just loved the foliage. I thought that was a really nice pop of colour there. And then we've got a nice perennial grass which will come up. Now this one does give up light purple plumes, kind of long plumes, which look really wispy and whimsical. Really, really gorgeous. And then we've got some ladies mantle, which I'm hoping is going to fill in this whole area here. By the way, these sort of strappy things that you can see, they are just the daffodils that have passed it now. And then, guys, look at this brunnera. Look how gorgeous. And some dead leaves. But look at those leaves. They are so, so pretty. Sort of silvery, but then you can see the dark green veining in them. Really, really gorgeous. And you know, the little blooms are so sweet as well. Right, so we're getting into the sort of messy zone now. So we've got the chicken coop. Hello girls. Hello. We've got our composting bin here, so this is where we do our composting. And then I've just planted a hosta in here, so that's just starting to poke up. And again, that'll hopefully fill in this area. It's a bit more of a shadier area here. Got an Artemisia back there. Again, I just popped it in there. And then here is just a lot of weeds. And I planted some Shasta daisies just to fill in this area last year because there was really nothing there. And our camellia as well, which is sort of dark pink to light reddish blooms. But again, that's just all bloomed out. Yeah. So that's that garden bed. Little chickens. And then coming round, obviously kids, we have young kids, we've got trampoline, swing ball. So yeah, in this sort of, it's quite a skinny border, and I'd love, so once the trampoline goes, which we're trying to talk the kids into getting rid of this trampoline this year, well, maybe one more summer and then we'll see if we can get rid of it, because I would like to widen this back border a little bit so we can plant more things just a little bit, because obviously the door to the shed is there, so we need to be aware of that, but maybe sort of slowly coming out and widening it as we get to the end, to the other side. But anyway, at the moment we've got this gorgeous Photinia, which obviously the leaves are just beautiful, sort of green, red. As they come out, they sort of come out this sort of reddy colour, and then they age to the green, and then you've got the sort of light red, white flowers as well, which come. And then this is a barberry, I think. Again, really, really spiky leaves. So they look like a bit sort of holly-esque. Really, really spiky, actually. But then you've got these beautiful orange blooms. So, so striking. And those two together, I love that combination. The orange and the reddy. Really, really beautiful. We've got our bamboo, which I think is growing through from the neighbour's garden. That's always been there. But it provides a nice backdrop. And then in here I have actually got I've got 3 red hot pokers, which were in there, but I think it's too shady now to be in there, so I've dug them up and I've put them here. I'm not sure this is the right place because it's a bit skinny there, but this place does get the most sun, this bed. So hopefully they'll be happy there. And then we've just got a repeat of the Marguerite daisies going there. And then we've got a Russian sage, 2 little Russian sage plants which are just starting to leaf out. And again, they're going to sort of fill in that area and give really nice purple blooms. And then to this gorgeous, gorgeous peony. Look at that. I mean, they are just beautiful, just about to flower here. So sort of a magenta, light purple blooms. I mean, look at that. They are going to be so gorgeous. I'll make sure I take pictures or do a video of when they bloom because they are so beautiful. And then behind we've got a climbing hydrangea which sort of spans if I just take a step back, it sort of spans all the way on this fence here, and those flowers are sort of very, very small, light yellow flowers. Really, really beautiful, actually, a really nice backdrop. And then we've got our gorgeous eucalyptus tree, which we planted a few years ago, and it's grown loads, actually. Yeah, really, really beautiful, fast growing. The leaves are sort of like a silvery green, sort of, well, blue silvery green. Really, really gorgeous. Yeah, and then down here we've got some lavender. So again, that'll be purple spikes that'll come up. These, I can't remember what the names are for these, but these have sort of light yellow, sort of buttery yellow blooms that come up, which go really well with the purple lavender. And then we've got some heucheras here, and then we've got 3 hostas here. So these 2 hostas are sum of substance hostas, so they're going to get really, really big in the back here. And then this one, I'm not sure what that is. It might be the same, actually, but I did transplant that from somewhere else, so I'm not sure. But the leaves kind of look the same, so maybe. Sometimes when we inherit things, we just don't know what they are, do we? So we've got iris at the back here. So these are sort of bright yellow blooms that come up, so they'll be coming up soon. And then we've got, I planted some gora last year, so I think this is a bridal something or other. Just very light pink, white blooms, and again very sort of whimsical, fairy-like, really, really beautiful. And then we've got some yarrow, some achillea, and these ones are sort of, again, peachy, creamy blooms when they come up, and again, such a workhorse plant. They literally flower summer all the way through to autumn, and you can leave the bloom stalks on as well through winter if you want, for winter interest. But again, just very different leaf texture, sort of strappy leaf texture against this different colour and also more bolder leaf. Don't you think this is so beautiful? It's so shiny. Really, really beautiful. And then along this back fence we've got an early flowering clematis with sort of white flowers. So that's sort of growing really well this year. Tons and tons of buds. I don't know if you can see. Look at all those buds. Loads and loads of buds. So they are just about to pop, which will be beautiful. And then coming down, further down, we've got some Marguerite daisies again, which I've just tried to repeat. And then this rose here is the Lady Gardener David Austin rose. Absolutely beautiful. So really light, peachy blooms. Really, really beautiful. Planted that last year. Had loads of blooms last year, so I'm expecting this year to be just phenomenal. So we'll have to see how it does. And then here I've got a little bit of an agapanthus, a purple agapanthus, which is kind of getting taken over by grass. And I think the only way I'm going to get rid of the grass is to actually just pull the whole plant out, get all the grass gone, and then replant it. So we'll see what happens. Then we've got some verbena. Again, that will get really, really tall, purple, delicate purple blooms, really, really pretty. Attractor for bees and butterflies like crazy. The bees were on it so much last year. Yeah, and then we've got behind it, we've got a black lace elderberry. So again, that'll fill in that area nicely. And I thought really, really beautiful contrast in leaves. So you've got this sort of really green leaf of the lupin, and then you've got the black lace elderberry. Dark strappy leaves again. And then in front we've got a lobelia, which the bloom stalks are sort of a light magenta, sort of dark pinky lobelia there. And then coming down we've got our beautiful lupins. So I love lupins, absolutely gorgeous. So these are ones that I grew from seed last year. Yeah, so they're a bit of a mix, this one. So I think they're sort of pinky, purpley, maybe some yellow in there as well. There's only 2 of them. I've got them further down as well, over here. Last year only a couple flowered and it was pink and purple, so I don't know, we'll have to wait and see what these other ones do. But yeah, I'm so proud I grew them from seed, and look at them, they look absolutely gorgeous. And again, you can just see where it sort of catches the little water droplets. Really, really healthy. And then below that we've got, what is this? Lamb's ear. So again, really, really good change of foliage there. So you've got the bright green of the lupins and then sort of silvery blue. And the leaves are just absolutely gorgeous. So you can see we've had a bit of rain, so it's got the rain droplets on it. But normally it's sort of just a very hairy, very soft, basically like a lamb's ear. That's why they call it lamb's ear. Beautiful, soft. And then we've got our lady's mantle again, which fills in this area. And then behind that we've got a pink echinacea. So I think this is just the Echinacea purpurea, the sort of general one. I grew those from seed last year as well, so we didn't get any flowers last year, but this year we're hoping for some beautiful flowers off this one. And then our cherry tree, which is just blossoming so beautifully at the minute. You can see those beautiful flowers. So this is a really dark, sweet cherry, which we planted again, I think it was last year. Yeah, so can't wait to try those berries. They're going to be beautiful. And then we've got another clematis which I planted, which sort of light pink flowers. I can't remember what it was called. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, so that's going to hopefully grow up there and sort of, I'm hoping, spreading around a little bit. So we've got the that clematis, which I'm hoping to just keep training along here. This clematis I'm going to sort of train then and then go that way as well. And then the fence down here, this is a, can't remember what it's called, Virginia creeper I think, and that just goes crazy and that'll start flowering. That just keeps growing over as well. So I'm just trying to cover this fence a little bit. But coming down in front of the clematis we've got, so this is the Shasta daisy, which is just huge. I think I'm going to sort of dig some of that up this year and just divide it because it's just getting so big. And then behind it we've got a Pyrus japonica, I think it's called. So the leaves, I don't know, the leaves change colour I think, so greeny but also reddy. And again these beautiful spring blooms that come up. In front of it we've got euphorbia. Now I can't remember what type of euphorbia that is, but, and again really, really beautiful. That's a workhorse plant that literally is there all throughout the season. It's evergreen. These beautiful bloom stalks last forever. Yeah. And then we've got the achillea again, the yarrow behind there, similar colours to the other one. Some nice creeping phlox which I've just sort of dotted about, and I'm hoping that's going to sort of spread around as well. Some hardy geraniums as well, so they're sort of, I think they're light purple, these ones. And then ornamental black currant, I think, ornamental currant, which gives these beautiful pink blooms. I mean, look at these, they're just so gorgeous, really, really beautiful. And then we come to another star of the show, which is our Bossa Gabelle rose, the David Austin again, planted last year, and such beautiful full blooms. I mean, so many petals per bloom, absolutely amazing, and amazing smell as well. So yeah, can't wait for that show again this year. And then again, as I said, we just repeated plants throughout, so there's a bit of cohesion. So we've got some more lady's mantle, we've got the pink echinacea, we've got some gora again behind that. That's going to fill in the verbena as well. That'll sort of grow in and be really big, long stalks. And then, as you can see, we've got our lupins here, and then our lamb's ear, different type of euphorbia. So this euphorbia is really, really interesting. So it's got, let me try and show you, the stems are sort of this reddy colour. We've obviously got the green leaves, but then we've got these beautiful blooms which are just sort of greeny chartreusey. and they look really, really nice when the ladies mantle, because they have chartreuse blooms as well, and when they come up it just sort of complements each other really well. And another echinacea here, and then that plant with the yellow flowers which I can't remember. So they sort of fill in there. We've got another perennial grass, which is the one with the purple plumes, so they'll start flowering sort of summer into autumn. And then just some sort of evergreen bits as well in the background. Some more iris there, those are yellow blooms, they'll be coming out soon. Another black lace elderberry, which I'm not sure that's enough room there for it, but that was a really tiny plant, so I took that one from a cutting. So I bought a black lace elderberry plant last year, planted it, and then the chickens dug it up and broke it. That's when we used to let our chickens roam free in the garden. We don't really allow them to do that much these days because they just break everything and they dig everything up, which is a shame because I really wanted them to be free range. We wanted them to be free range, but we just can't. They just dig up the garden beds too much. So we bought that, planted it, it got dug up and broken. So I took one of the stems and I just basically rooted it, and it came up, and that is that plant there. Let me show you again. So that is that plant there. That's the one that I sort of rooted, basically like a cutting. So it's doing really, really well. Really, really proud of myself. And then we've got the lobelia again here, sort of dark pink, almost magenta blooms will come up. We've got some hardy geraniums as well, that's light purple flowers, Gora again. Bay tree or bush there, and then yeah, just sort of bit of a mix of plants really. Dusty Miller here, I grew them from seed last year and I just popped it in there because there was nothing there. And then here is a little bit of a herb garden, so we've got rosemary, parsley, chives and sage there. So yeah, it's just a really fun bed. So just looking back sort of a year ago what this bed was like, it was bare, literally bare. I widened it out when I did all the bricks like I did the other side, and then just got to planting. And I grew some of the stuff from seed because I didn't obviously want to fork out so much money. It was a big, lots of plants that we had to plant in, so some of them I grew from seed successfully, some not so successfully. But yeah, and then this is our little new mini boxwood hedge that we planted just along here. So again, they're just going to sort of fill in and maybe do a sort of grow into a bit of a hedge here. And then our little palm tree. So this is our little fan palm. I can't remember exactly what the name is, but yeah. So yeah, that is our back garden. So it's definitely a work in progress, and I'm in no means a professional gardener. I just really enjoy it, and I've got inspired over the last couple of years to just do stuff in the garden, and I just absolutely love it. All right guys, so I know that was quite a long video. I hope you made it to the end. But it was just to sort of give you an idea of what the garden's looking like now, sort of end of May going into end of April going into May. Just to show you all the things that we've got planted. I mean, it's quite an achievement. Basically, in a year, we've managed to get all these beds going. So yeah, really proud of ourselves. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's maybe inspired you to maybe start a new garden bed, or plant something new in your garden. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye.